Welcome to the night shift. Mike Stubbs, Kyle Grimard, both of us sitting in radio studios, but in very different places. I am at Fanshawe College right now. Kyle, where are you?
I've got my home studio all set up here, so I'm locked and loaded.
Look at this. And now we get an opportunity to talk some London Knights because we've got games to actually talk about, and two games that showed off some pretty remarkable things. We're also going to go through 5 questions that you will see appearing on the Ontario Hockey League website. They're up right now if you want to go and see. But 5 questions about the 2025-2026 London Knights, and they've had Greg Sloan and Rick Doyle weigh in. They've had Jim Van Horn and Ryan Pyatt weigh in. Kyle and I are going to weigh in on these questions as well. And then if you want to weigh in, you can always send us an email. You can send it to me, Mike at 980cfpl.ca. Let us know who you want to hear from or what you're thinking about going into 2025, 26, because there are an awful lot of things to be wondering about. One of the things that I think, Kyle, people are wondering less about is how are they going to replace all of the players that they lost? We saw 2 games this past weekend against the Sarnia Sting. And if the Knights had lost both, you would say, well, yeah, they lost a lot of players. They've got a lot of young guys, and it'll take some time, but they're going to be right back in it. If they split, that would have been good too, because the Knights and the Sting tend to dress a veteran lineup on home ice. You see a lot of the younger players on the road. The Knights came back and won both games. And Kyle, the resiliency is the thing that jumped off the ice when we were talking about this edition of the Knights, because it would have been so easy for all of the players to be on the bench and be down by a goal as they were multiple times on the Friday night at Canada Life Place, or be down by 2 goals on the road in Sarnia with less than 4 minutes left. And it would have been really easy for everybody to say, well, be nice to have Denver Barkey here. Be really nice to have Easton Cowan here, or Blake Montgomery, or Landon Sim, or Casper Haltonen, or Oliver Bonk, and the list could have gone on, and they could have said, yeah, too bad we didn't have those guys. Well, good night. They didn't. These guys worked their way back on Friday night, overcoming single goal deficits, and then won it with 34.1 seconds left. And then on Saturday on the road, down by 2, they find a way to score twice. Logan Howery and Jackson Culver, and then Max Crete wins it in the shootout. It was remarkable. And I know it's preseason, and I'm trying not to get too excited, but I'm getting excited about these guys.
Well, and you mentioned, it'd be nice to have all these players that the Knights had last year. And every year in the OHL, it's okay, who's next up? Who's going to be the next one that comes in and makes an impact, becomes the guy? And you just mentioned a few names in general. Logan Howery had a few different goals over the course of the weekend. You talked about Jackson Culver. He's another guy. Max Crete. What about Caden Hawkins? That's another name that might peek out to you as well. So for all of the players that aren't on the roster anymore, and deservedly so, it is an incredibly difficult and daunting task to replace however many goals this team is losing from last year. But there are guys stepping up and ready to go, and this is not something that caught the Hunters and the Knights by surprise. They were fully aware going into this season they were going to be missing a lot of key contributors from the Memorial Cup team. The good thing about it is that they have placed themselves in a very good position to allow players to reach that next level, take that step. And so far through 2 games, we got an early indication of maybe who some of those players are going to be. You mentioned it. Howery, Culver, Hawkins, Crete, the list goes on, but some names are sticking out. And like we mentioned on the last episode, they're popping, Mike.
Yes. There was definitely popping. Logan Howery has popped all the way to leading the preseason in scoring alongside Nikita Klepov of the Saginaw Spirit, who's another player who will pop. But we've got to keep in mind, these guys are young. They're still 17. And so you've got to allow that learning curve, but you're able to see the potential that they have and just the ability to go out and have the belief that you can do something that you shouldn't be able to do. You shouldn't be able to come back from a 4-2 deficit in Sarnia. They didn't have their entire roster on the ice. They were missing some key defensive guys. James Barr didn't play on the Saturday. Hugh Hurt didn't play on the Saturday. They're key guys, but they had a very good team on the ice, and the Knights found a way. And Kyle, you talk about the goal scoring. We're going to get to this in a little while. We're also going to hear from Logan Howery and Max Crete. We're also going to hear from Jackson Culver and about his experience just in hockey. This is his 5th year of hockey, and he'll describe how he got to this point, and he'll take us through that. But you mentioned the goals that the Knights are trying to replace. If you look at the number of goals that they lost from last year to this year, they scored 325 goals last year. If you include Sam Dickinson coming back, you are missing 154 of those 325. If Sam Dickinson stays in San Jose, that number rises to 183 out of 325 that you are missing. So again, it's not uncommon for teams to lose half of their goals or almost half of their goals season to season. You don't have to be a Memorial Cup championship team to have that happen to you in the OHL. That's just graduation. But there was a lot of skill that went out the door, and you're hoping you have an awful lot of skill now elevating into those spots. And the signs are very positive so far as the Knights maybe begin to see another core develop that grows up together, 17, 18, 19 years old, and then hopefully they're doing things that they've been doing all along where they're vying for championships. So that's the fun part of watching some of these guys and the performance that they have had so far. Let's kind of go back through the 2 games that were played in case you missed either of those games. The Sarnia Sting jumped out to a 2-0 lead on the Friday night, and it was a goal that started to bring the London Knights back that kind of set things maybe a little bit easier for the Knights, where you needed one. It was kind of like playing Oshawa in the final. You needed that one goal to say, okay, we're good. And that goal came from Rene Van Bommel. And he's somebody, Kyle, that this year I really think you look to him in times where the puck isn't going into the net. And Dylan Hunter, Knights assistant coach, will say, look, if the puck's not going in, you've got to simplify things. You've got to just get the puck to the net. You've got to score the ugly goal. And Rene Van Bommel is willing to take pucks to the net, and he will score goals that you have to fight for. Goals that aren't going to come on 3-way passing plays, but he'll get them for you. And he jumped into a soft spot. Noah Abaflon found him, and he scores. And how key do you look back and say, there's another one of those signs that you want to see from a team, and there it is.
Yeah, and then this is a guy who's done this in the past for the Knights in big games before too. And it's a lead by example kind of thing where he gets to a soft spot in the ice, he gets to the hard parts of the ice and creates offense, and then the team starts recognizing that and goes, "Oh, if we're going to generate something, this is what we have to do." And it creates a trickle down effect with maybe some of the other guys who are a little bit cautious at first to go to those spots. Then they start taking those chances and start going to those areas, and all of a sudden, collectively as a team, you become significantly harder to play against. Everyone is now on the same mindset of knowing where to go, where to be, what to do, and it's a lead by example that gets things going for the Knights and Rene Van Bommel. He did it last year. Both you and I, Mike, were super impressed with him during, the media availability during training camp. He really wants to take on that leadership role and be a guy is used as an example for other players who maybe don't have the first round draft pick leeway to be able to just walk right in. He's done things the hard way. He's made himself known. He's given himself an opportunity and created a spot for him on this roster from doing what he does. And I like that he started this game off for the Knights and getting them going with a goal like that.
The Sting go up 3-1. Again, the Knights find a way back early in the second period. And Logan Howery, people will talk all about his release and his shot and his accuracy, and they are all elite. but he made a play where he was on the left half boards and he sees Henry Brustevich coming in from the blue line. And what he's able to do is put the puck on the stick of Brustevich. He gets it on net. It creates a rebound, and Caden Hawkins, bang. I mean, this guy knows how to score goals. Take a look at what he's done all the way through. He's an overage player on the Knights roster. Boom, it was in the net. That's another one of those good signs. And then Jackson Culver gets a goal to tie it. And then it's kind of back and forth, and it's tied 5-5 late in the game. And you have Cohen Bidgood, who carries the puck down the ice. What does he do? What did we just talk about with Rene Van Bommel? Goes hard to the net. Didn't really get a shot away because he kind of got spun around. And the puck goes to Max Crete, and bang, bang, it's into the net. And we had a chance to talk with Logan Howery and Max Crete about that play, and then moved on to all of the plays that they made in the second game of the preseason in Sarnia. So let's take you to Logan Howery and Max Crete and the opening of the preseason. Okay, well, not a bad start to the preseason for either of you. Max, let's go back to Friday night and the fact that the game is tied after a comeback. You're starting to put shifts together. You had a couple of chances where the puck nearly went. Well, one time it did go in, only it didn't count.
Yeah. I mean, I was buzzing towards the end of the game, and I knew it wouldn't count, but I still put my hands up just in case.
There'll be one in the building to do that. We'll talk about Saturday in just a moment, but let's go back to the last minute. What do you remember from the shift that led to getting the puck in, where you had Cohen Bidgood going hard to the net, and then the puck finds you?
Yeah, I think we just had a 3-on-2. Cohen drove the net well, and then puck popped out. The puck popped out to me, and I found Howie in the slot, and he just buried it. So,
Logan, you have that ability to get into those open areas. How did you find that one?
Yeah, the Sarnia just overloaded, and there was an opening in the slot there. So I just got open, called for it, and Career fed me a nice pass and just buried it.
What was the sound like? It wasn't a jammed crowd, but it was a pretty good crowd.
Yeah, it was pretty electric for a preseason game, and especially that goal, it was loud.
And then you guys weren't done. You go in Saturday, you're down 4-2 late. Logan, what are you talking about on the bench at that point?
Yeah, just stay ready, just keep going, just find a way. And I knew we were gonna pull the goalie at the end there, and we just got to get shots on net and find a way to get one, which we did, and then just went from there.
Max, what was it like to see that second one go in and know, hey, you've come all the way back when you got a young lineup and they've got a pretty experienced lineup?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I think we showed good grit and push, and we just pushed till the end and won some good draws and got the puck on net, and it went in. So, yeah.
Okay, last one for you, the shootout move. Take us through that as you win the game in Sarnia.
Yeah, I mean, I think most guys shot because the ice was pretty chewed up, and I decided to make a move because everyone shot and saw an opening and put it in.
One of the little differences this year, ice is going to be chewed up a little bit more on shootouts. What do you think, Logan? Is that going to change strategy at all, or Max proved you could still make a move and make it happen?
Yeah, if you got hands like Creed, you can still make a move. But I feel like with the ice kind of choppy, most guys shoot because of that. But definitely could still make the move if you want.
Guys, good luck the rest of the way in the preseason.
Thank you. Thanks, Stubbs.
Max Crete and Logan Howery of the London Knights describing pieces of those first two games. And again, the Sting had the lead. Beckham Edwards scored a great goal where when the puck's on his stick, it's off his stick. And then the Knights go ahead, and then the Sting come back, and the Knights, undaunted, find ways to tie it in the last 4 minutes. So lots of good signs from there. We're going to hear from Jackson Culver in just a little bit. But Kyle, let's look at those 5 questions that the Ontario Hockey League threw out there about the London Knights. The first one that they threw out, and you can read these and the thoughts of other broadcasters and Ryan Pyatt, who writes for the London Free Press at OntarioHockeyLeague.com. Greg Sloan commented on them, Rick Doyle, Jim Van Horn. So lots of different thoughts on things, and lots of, believe it or not, similar thoughts. I don't know. Are all of us using the same brain? Sometimes you worry about that, but there are a lot of similar thoughts too. Breakout player for this year. Kyle, I tried to look at the roster and I thought, I think a guy who we're really going to see take a big step will not necessarily be a rookie who's coming in. That will happen. But I really think Henry Brustevich is somebody who moves into a different stratosphere this year, because He's been on a defense core that has had some very good players the last 2 years. And he's somebody that has just gone out. He'll break up plays defensively. Look at the offense that he added in the Memorial Cup, where he scored a goal against Rimouski in the round robin. And then he's the guy who takes the puck from Sam Dickinson and zings this beautiful breakaway pass to Jacob Julian in the Memorial Cup final to open the scoring. He's got that offense, and he's got a tremendous shot himself. I just think we're going to see him go from very good defenseman, I mean, really good defenseman. He became a first-round pick of the LA Kings. I think he jumps up into that stratosphere whenever anybody's having a conversation about best defenseman in the league, his name comes up.
Yeah, and that's a big jump in terms of like what you're saying, breakout too. And one of the reasons why maybe he didn't get that, chance one last year was his draft year, but you look at the depth on defense that this team had last year. I mean, you had Bonk, you had Dickinson, you had Woolley there, you had so many other guys that, a lot of that fell onto just a few players, and Henry still carved out an incredible role for himself. But now, he's going to probably be the guy on power play one. He's going to be the guy presumably maybe on the top pair next to his league mate and team member Jared Woolley, who's also a member of the LA Kings. But I think part of that, one, his confidence from last year was the first thing you and I that jumped off the page with him. And I feel like that's only going to grow too with him, plus the opportunity of being the pseudo facto guy. I think it's a great pick, Mike.
Do you have a breakout guy you're looking at, Kyle?
I have one, maybe not to the stratosphere of best defenseman or best forward or anything like that, but, a guy that carved out a role for themselves last year, but I think is going to get an even bigger opportunity with the vacancy up front. And a guy like that's Noah Reid. Noah Reid, every single time last year when he gave himself an opportunity, he took full advantage of it. He was scoring big goals in the playoffs. He had a hat trick against the Owen Sound attack during the playoff run. He's a guy who, when called upon, delivered almost every single time. And now he's going to get an opportunity to get called upon significantly more. He's a draft pick and skyrocketed up the NHL drafts because teams absolutely loved what he was able to do. And I think with an expanded role and so much vacancy in the goals that you mentioned, Mike, I think Noah Reid is a player who really takes a step forward and compiles up a lot more points than people are giving him credit for.
45 games in the regular season, and you have to earn your ice time with Dale Hunter. You have to show that you are able to perform in tough situations in order to be that everyday player. He's an everyday player throughout the playoffs and the Memorial Cup. That just talks to his rise, and he did it the right way all the way through. Came into camp, no guarantees. Played 45 of the 68 in the regular season. No guarantees, not playing a ton of ice time in the regular season. And then still, when he's called upon to do whatever it is you need him to do, he's going to do it. I love it. Biggest question mark, this one was unanimous. It was, how do you replace those goals that we talk about? And you're not going to replace all of them. Kyle, teams just don't score 325 goals on a regular basis. So the idea is probably not to replace them, but it is to have those go-to guys in those spots where when you need something done, they can get it done. And so far in preseason games, you've seen guys want to rise up. You want to see guys who perform well on the big stage. And it will become bigger, that stage, but this is as big a stage as we've had so far. Put a check in the box. So far, so good.
Yep, so far so good. I think you're right too. It's not necessarily, well, how are they going to replace all those goals? It's who's going to be the one that steps up. The other question to me, and you and I, Mike, were actually talking about it before the podcast, was what happens with Sam Dickinson this year? Does he play in the National Hockey League with the San Jose Sharks? Does he come back down and play for the London Knights this year? Does something else happen along the lines? Because, last year, just about every accolade you could win as a defenseman and as a player in the OHL, he did. He won OHL Defenseman of the Year. He won CHL Defenseman of the Year. He was an OHL champion. He's a Memorial Cup champion. There's not a whole lot of other things that Sam Dickinson needs to cross off his checklist at the junior level. However, it is a big jump to the National Hockey League. I believe personally that he has the ability to play in the National Hockey League this year for the San Jose Sharks. Do they want to use that year immediately? Do they want to keep him at bay for one more year? That's a big question mark that's up the team. I fully believe he has the talent and the ability to jump in. We said it when he got drafted, Mike. We thought he was the most NHL ready defenseman when taken in last year's draft. I'm standing by it. It'll just be up to what the Sharks want to do with him, but that's my biggest question mark.
And you mentioned the business side of it. Do you want to start that march toward free agency now? Do you want to hold it off one more year? And that will be it. This will be a business decision predominantly for the Sharks, because what happens when you get to an NHL training camp is the same thing that happens at any training camp, making any team. You know who the players are who are performing. You know who the best 6 defensemen are. I don't
I know.
watch Sharks camp, but I look on paper and I go, he's going to look like one of those 6 best defensemen. Yeah. And so it's going to be awfully tough. And he'll get his 9 games in the National Hockey League, and then it will be about figuring that out, because it's not like you look at Sam and say, well, physically, he needs to add some more pounds. He will add more pounds, but physically, he has that big size body right now. And so maybe as a 19-year-old, maybe the Sharks see a place for him to play. It's completely up to San Jose and Mike Grier and their management team. We'll know soon enough. All right, let's go to top draft pick. This was another unanimous one, but you can add in a 1 and a 1A on this one. And I don't think we got a chance to add in the 1A as we were answering the question. But the top draft picks right away, and this is not based on what we're seeing so far in preseason. This is based a lot on the fact that these players have been around last year and this year. This is talking to a lot of scouts. This is talking to other members of the hockey world. It is Logan Howry and it is Jackson Culver. There are going to be a lot of scouts at a lot of Knights games watching them on a regular basis. And I think those scouts are going to have fun watching both of them.
Yeah, I think so too. And even last year, you talked about it when Howry was a rookie. You watched his release and the way he shoots the puck, and he popped a little bit, and you went, "Oh, he's gonna make an impact when he gets an opportunity to do that." So I can see that. And just hearing everything, I hadn't really had a chance to watch a lot of what Jackson Culver was all about. And in just 2 preseason games, he's all over the score sheet. He's constantly handling the puck and facilitating things, and there's a reason why. The puck follows good players. It finds its way back to those players that make an impact, that can do things and create offense and defense. And when you're manipulating the game, Jackson Culver was a guy who was just all over it. So I'm really intrigued to see what he does with a full year with the Knights. Maybe he's not going to be the top draft pick, Mike, but I'm very intrigued to see what happens with PJ Fagan. I've always liked what he's been able to do, and maybe he's a guy who sneaks in. Maybe he's not the highest draft pick, but I can see him really carving out a role and a staple and being one of the everyday 6 for this team. He's big, he's physical, he moves the puck well, he's aggressive, he's mean in the corners, and every NHL team wants a guy like that.
Yeah, and he stepped up in a game on the weekend, and he stopped a rush in its tracks. And if he's got that element to his game, and it was almost an element of surprise where the player who was bringing the puck across the blue line did not expect it. And PJ didn't wipe him out. This wasn't a big body check. This was stepping up, separating the player from the puck, and now the puck's going the other way. It was really impressive to watch. That's a great point to look and see whether scouts are now looking at a full year of PJ Fagan and saying, he's got a lot of ingredients that we need to have on our team. Next up was, who are you most excited to watch? And I am enamored with the Jackson Culver story, have been since the beginning, because this is one that you can go back and you don't see too many of these, where you've got a player who is not coming up through AAA. He is somebody who really didn't play much ice hockey at all. This is his 5th year. We're going to hear from him in just a minute or two. But Jackson Culver played soccer, played roller hockey, still played roller hockey this past summer. And he's someone that has just adapted whatever skills he's had from those other games to what happens on the ice. And his skating is really good. So he's somebody that is just an absolute phenom. Just, this is an outlier. It shouldn't happen this way, but it is happening. And you said it. He is highlight reel stuff. He goes hard into the corners. He's just a pleasure to watch play the game of hockey. And as you hear from him, you'll see he's an incredible person off the ice as well. So that's coming up. Who are you excited to watch this year, Kyle?
There's a lot of forward prospects that I am really intrigued to watch and I think could be exciting, but we've really been, fixated on a lot of the forwards here. So I'm going to go Alexei Medvedev. Last year was a year where him and Austin Elliott split the crease. They made the trade to acquire Austin Elliott, early on in the season, and then they split a little bit down the stretch, but we kind of knew just with the elder statesman level, Austin Elliott was going to be the guy in the playoffs, and then he lost one game or two games for the rest of the way. It's a record-setting year for him. And Medvedev was still a high draft pick of the Vancouver Canucks because what he was able to display in a short amount of time on the ice was pretty spectacular. It was special watching him. Now we get a full year of him, and we get a full year of him with a little bit younger of a team. I am really intrigued to see him take that next step and be a guy that is a stalwart at the back end. Last year, we looked at it with Owen Sound, and Owen Sound, the first thing you thought of with that team, at least from my perspective, was Carter George. You got to find a way to beat Carter George early and get him, because if not, you're going to be in for a tough game. He's a guy who can steal a game at any point. He was selected to Team Canada at the World Junior Hockey Championships. He's a guy who's probably going to return this coming year as well. I am very excited to see what a full season after being drafted by the Canucks of Alexei Medvedev. He knows it's his net. They got a little bit of depth to kind of support him to give him some balance, but this is Alexei Medvedev's crease, and I can't wait to see a full year after growing and learning from Elliott, everything that he gained last year into this year.
Began at 6 feet tall when he was drafted, now 6'3". He has the arms and legs of a 6'5" goaltender. They stretch so far. So yeah, no, Alexei Medvedev as a player to watch this year, you bet. Second round pick of the Vancouver Canucks. And then finally, MVP for this year. And for this, Kyle, I went Sam O'Reilly because a lot of this team will have the graduation factor where you're going to see kind of the new leadership group really emerge from it, where you had Denver Barkey and Easton Cowan and Landon Sim and Oliver Bonk all kind of growing up together. Now you've got a guy like Sam O'Reilly, and I'm not sure what the Knights will do with their leadership group. This is more about that player who makes the team tick. And Sam O'Reilly is a guy who brings the same presence and the same preparation and the same attitude to the game every day. Whether it's practice, whether it's an off day, he's going to do things the same way, the right way, over and over and over again. And I think having that steadying ingredient when you've had so much turnover in terms of key pieces on your roster, and now with the injury to Will Nickel, that's going to be so important. And Sam O'Reilly brings that.
I mean, it's a great answer. He's going to be the number one guy. I think his leadership is going to come on through. I wouldn't be surprised if he was named captain of this team based on everything. And he's so focused anytime we talk to him on the ice. I feel like that's a common answer. So I'm going to go a different one here. And I believe it just as fully. I have a feeling that Jared Woolley's impact on this team is going to be significantly more important than people are giving it credit for. One of the guys that I remember last year at the National Hockey League level when he missed time and how different that team looked was the Toronto Maple Leafs and Chris Tanev. When Chris Tanev wasn't there, they were a mess defensively. I think Jared Woolley is going to hold that defense together. He is a big body. He's going to play penalty kill. He's going to play top minutes against all the other team's top players. If there's a period of time, and I hope to God this doesn't happen, that he misses a stretch of games, I think this team is going to miss him solely. So I think that Jared Woolley is going to be the very underrated MVP and the glue that keeps this team together, both defensively and structured as a whole.
Love that answer. Well, there we go. There are the 5 questions as we head toward the next round of preseason games. There are 2 left. Remember, one will be on the Friday night at Canada Life Place, September the 5th. And then September the 6th at Western Fair at 4 p.m. So Western Fair Sports Center. And if you get a ticket to that game, the ticket gets you into the fair. So 2 things with the same ticket. And the Knights will play an Erie Otters team that will break down. There will be an audio podcast that comes out probably on Friday morning that will take you through some of the guys to watch on the Erie Otters, some of the things about the London Knights, just so that you can learn more things about them. We get an opportunity to learn more about Jackson Culver right now because we sat down with him before his second preseason game in Sarnia.
Jackson, you got into another game for the London Knights. People know your story now, and the fact that this is year what of ice hockey for you?
Year 5.
The start of year 5, though.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
How hard has it been to adapt to playing ice hockey, growing up playing roller hockey as much as you have?
The main thing people think is like this. It's like a completely different game, but it's the exact same. Just rollers a faster pace. So I feel like I adapted pretty good. Just the systems I had to get down, and then the skill came with played roller my whole life.
We've seen some of your moves. You can check them out on Instagram in roller hockey. Do you find you can do similar things, toe dragging the puck, things like that on the ice?
I feel like you can. You just gotta have confidence while you do it, and just keep your head up. The main thing in ice.
So, roller hockey, when did you start? How old?
Ever since I was born. My dad has been having me on since I was 3 years old. So yeah,
Okay.
been playing my whole life.
So take us through. We know you've lived in the Cayman Islands. We know you lived in the Toronto area. Where was what? Was it early on in Cayman Islands? Was it a split all the way through?
So I grew up in Cayman my whole life. Then I was 12. I moved to St. Andrews College with me and my brother. So then that was the COVID year. So then I started playing my first year U14, U15, and then I made my first U16 AAA team. So then I played for prep hockey last year, and then the London Knights drafted me. So now I'm here.
How surprising was it to get drafted? Were you expecting it?
No, I wasn't. I slept through my draft, and then Mark called me, and it was a pretty good surprise. So yeah.
Not a bad way to wake up.
Yeah.
Now, you're still playing some roller hockey. You played this summer. Where did you play?
So I played at a tournament called Narch. There's a lot of high-end ice guys there, like Zeb Boehm, I saw him, and Trevor Conley the year before. So a lot of ice guys are trying to get into roller. So I feel like it's good for them, yeah.
So a little bit of a mix then in terms of guys starting on ice or starting playing roller and flipping back and forth.
Yeah, it's a fun sport, roller. I suggest everyone get into it. It's fun. You're with your friends, and you are getting better.
And you're in the sunshine. We can't do that on ice.
Yeah.
We can't do the sunshine.
Yeah.
How hot can it get?
Oh, it gets pretty hot, especially in Cali, high 40s. Yeah, it's
Wait, do you remember games like that?
Yeah.
Playing in the 40-degree weather?
Yeah, it gets tiring, but it's still fun in the end. So yeah, you're having fun.
What if it rains?
Keep playing through it. Just keep playing.
Do you lose traction?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. It's a little slippy, but yeah, it's still fun, yeah.
All right, let's go back to last night. How fun was last night getting the pull that you did and playing the way you did?
Yeah, it was a fun game. We started off a little slower at the start, but then our team picked it up. We stood up for our guys when we needed to, and yeah, I feel like we came together as a team.
Good luck in game number 2 of the preseason.
Thank you.
London Knights forward Jackson Culver. So, reasoning that you need more than just hockey in your life as you grow up, that you can learn more from other sports. Play baseball in the summer, play soccer in the summer. You know, I know it's different now than it used to be, where if you commit to a sport and you're at a high level, you're committed to that sport at that high level. But he was able to commit to sports that weren't ice hockey at a high level, and now here he is at a very high level playing ice hockey. We'll see what Jackson Culver and friends do this weekend for the London Knights. Kyle, looking forward to the end of the preseason. Don't forget, September 19th is the start of the regular season. It will be a banner-raising night at Canada Life Place against the Owen Sound Attack, and you can check londonnights.com for ticket information. Thank you to Adam Zawacki for all he does to help turn this into video. He's doing everything in behind the scenes. We're just sitting in little boxes. Adam actually brings this to life. So, Adam, thank you for that.
Yep, and then go subscribe to that YouTube page where you can check out the full episodes. There's clips that go up as well. You can follow us on socials wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We're on Chromecast as well. Make sure you give us a follow, give us a like, and then if you subscribe, it'll then prompt you and let you know when the next episode drops. But yeah, huge shout out to Adam for putting everything together. All this video stuff, Mike. It's going to be an exciting year.
Knights and Otters, 2 more, and then the regular season begins. Enjoy.
Can't wait.